3, 2, 1.
What is up, everybody? This is Drew, and
this is Brad.
And once again, you are listening to the Unidentified Flying Podcast. Contact details. UFP, no, I got it. UFPpodcast@gmail.com, at UFP Podcast on Twitter, and Unidentified Flying Podcast on Facebook. Took me a second, but I got it.
We're on Stitcher now. I guess we should say that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is it just Unidentified Flying Podcast?
Yeah.
On Stitcher? Okay.
Yeah. What's Stitcher? I don't know, but we're on it.
Yeah, me looking at it, it seemed like a podcast app, like just for, whatever. Yeah, so anyway.
It's free, so woohoo!
Yep, and
there you go.
We're not doing any follow-up today, right?
No, this is going to be probably long enough of an episode. So.
Okay, so today we're talking about civil forfeiture
in Oklahoma.
In a general topic sense. So, I know you've got a lot of stuff ready to go.
I guess we should kind of start like what kind of brought us to wanting to do this episode is one, it's just a fucked up topic, and to begin with, but we got interested in the Stephen Holman case. If you don't know what that is, that Stephen Holman's a guy that is city councilman for Norman, Oklahoma, and he was working at the friendly market. I don't think he has a controlling stake in it or anything.
Yeah, I think he just.
I would have liked to actually just done an episode just on that because we could. I think, and we probably will go back to it specifically because it's kind of a developing story on its own.
Yeah.
But what was interesting about it is, he works at this friendly market. They were selling glass pipes, and if you live in Norman, that's a no-no, whether it's against the law or not. And that's just kind of generally what's known, is because any shop that's ever opened up here like that, they go and get shut down.
Yeah. Because
the cops go in and raid them, and they just don't ever come back. Yeah. And that's you hear a lot of rumors afterwards. The rumors are always like, oh well, I heard they were dealing dope out of there, and that's why they got. I hear that every time, and I'm like, especially like with the Stephen Holman case, I'm like, if they were actually dealing out of there, that place would be shut the fuck down. This person or that person, they would be in jail yesterday.
Sure, yeah.
Like that's just how Oklahoma rolls.
And you would think
rolls.
Under the increased scrutiny that these sort of shops are put under, they definitely wouldn't be doing anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, forget that it's just illegal to begin with. The fact that opening a shop like this, the cops are going to be like, outside with the long lens.
I guess they sell other, at this friendly market.
Yeah, I've never been to it, so I don't know.
They've got like all sorts of little items, and they've got clothing, and just
here's my question:
wide variety of stuff.
Is it like a head shop or
kind of?
Like, do they advertise? I'm just curious. Do they advertise?
Well, they don't now.
I mean, did they in the past, selling shirts with marijuana leaves and stuff like that on it, and legalize it?
I don't
and
honestly
stuff
know
like
because I never went in there personally.
Okay.
But
not that they can't do that because there's nothing illegal in doing that.
Yeah.
So,
but it was just like
curious.
they have all sorts of like kind of decorative items and things like that. Boxes and. I'm sure incense holders.
Like
and all,
a bit of a new age.
It's a new age kind of shop. Yeah, I'm like, so hey, it is what it is. Nothing wrong with that.
Sure. Yeah.
But what to go back, they get raided. It gets all their glassware gets confiscated, along with I think all the money there as well, and. It's just shut down, and people, I from an outside perspective, I'm always like, I don't understand that because it's obviously not illegal to sell glass pipes.
No.
In Oklahoma.
No.
I know there are some specifications, and I would actually like to know this, but it gets like really in detail and vague, where it's like, well, it's got to be like so many inches wide and long, or to be like, there's some weird bullshit as far as like what the actual statute of the law says regarding the glass pipes. I'm like, I'm going to guess that they probably passed that because, like I said, there are other places in the state that sell glass pipes.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all they do. They're not even new agey like this friendly market. They're They're literally just, hey, we're selling this stuff and that's it. As far as pipes and water pipes and hookahs and things like that are concerned,
Yeah.
But anyway, they get raided once, and all this stuff gets confiscated.
Just out of curiosity, I don't see. I mean, what do they confiscate all the glassware for? To say it's evidence?
Yes.
Now, what do they confiscate the cash for? Evidence?
Well, that's kind of what we're going to get into.
Okay.
Like that gets in the civil forfeiture aspect of this. Like, anyway,
because I would understand if they took all the glass stuff. If their actual assertion was you're selling glass pipes that aren't quote unquote up to code.
Yeah.
Because there even having to be a code for glass pipes is a whole different topic, because I think that shit's dumb anyway. But for whatever, there's a code in place.
Yeah.
If you violate it, or they think you violated it, they raid you. I don't know why they take all of it. I would assume they would only take what they believe violates that code. Mm-hmm. But I guess if they have carte blanche to just, some is up to code, some isn't, but we're allowed to take it all. I mean, that's a fucking problem. But it's the cash. It's the cash that makes no fucking sense. But what?
Because
you're part of what not makes any sense.
That cash helps facilitate the wrongdoing.
Yeah, but it's almost like, well, because we've accused you, we can hamstring the fuck out of your business.
Oh yeah.
Until we settle it all in court. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a way to convict you without having to actually go through the court process. Because even if you win in court, we hurt your business so bad that it had to go under.
Yeah.
And you're gone now.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished anyway. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, even if you get it all back later, your shop still had to go, who knows, years without operating income.
I like how you're bringing some of that up, because we'll get into some details of that. Okay. As far as, like, what it takes to get your stuff back. And
Sure. Okay.
What happens to the process or whatever. Anyway, that they get raided the first time, their stuff gets confiscated. I guess, just from, like I said, outside perspective, Friendly Market's like, okay, cool, that happened. Well, we checked with our lawyers and stuff, and we know it's cool. They went back to selling glass pipes again.
Yeah.
And I think, it was like a matter of a couple of weeks. Bam, they're raided again. And, I took issue with a lot of, like, it became a big headline here in Oklahoma, because I think personally it was a great headline with, hey, city councilman charged with drug charges. And I'm, okay, cool.
Was he ever actually charged with drug charges?
Well, he was charged, but it wasn't drug charge. He was selling paraphernalia, I think is what they would actually say.
Out of curiosity, are those charges still on him?
Yeah.
Have they been dropped?
Yeah.
Oh no, they're still.
Oh no, they're not. Yeah, they're still on them. They're still going through hearings.
Okay.
Anyway, so they get raided again, and they're basically like, okay, fuck, I guess we can't fucking do it. And I think there's some interesting things about this case too, is the fact that, like, I think someone just working there usually never gets charged. It's just like they actually charge the business or the owner of the business. They actually charged Stephen Holman, the city councilman. They charged him too. That's what was kind of weird about it. Anyway, it's just kind of messed up with the fact that, they can seize their stuff, and nothing's actually been convicted, or nobody's actually been convicted in court or anything. Mm-hmm. And that kind of goes into the whole civil forfeiture thing.
Was he arrested, Stephen Holman?
No, and that was another thing. Like, okay. The Oklahomans kind of gone back to the story a little bit, because there's been some developments, and they're like, Stephen Holman, who was arrested on drug charges. I'm like, he was never arrested. I'm like, that's another, we've done episodes about the Oklahoman. That was just, you're flat out fucking wrong. I mean, sorry. I know that sounds great when you're talking about those thugs and their drug dealings, dealing the devil's weed, but like that never fucking happened. So anyway,
you're a newspaper. Pro tip: get your fucking facts straight.
Yeah, just try. We were actually wanting to talk to Stephen Holman, and we emailed him, and he kind of replied back saying, hey, it's an ongoing matter. He'd have to check with his lawyers about what he could say.
Which I understand.
And that's what we said too. Like, hey, I could totally understand if you can't because of that.
The dude's in a legal quagmire right now. I totally get that he's might be reticent to.
And I know that a group from Washington, D.C., I think, is actually they stepped in and were like, hey, we will actually pay for your attorney's fees and represent you and stuff, because it's a huge burden like on this business to be like, hey, now you've got to like litigate the fuck out of these people just to be like, hey, we can do something that's legal in the first place.
Yeah, sure.
But even before we contacted Stephen Holman, he actually, I think, like liked us on our page on Facebook. So
hell yeah.
Hey, thank you for finding us first. I guess we're just that cool, man. I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to think. But
here's my question. I mean, let's before we go too far off the edge here, and because I have a feeling that this is quickly gonna turn into both of us probably having not a lot of nice things to say about the way justice is being dealt in the city of Norman in this instance. What exactly do we know exactly what the charges are against him? Is it like just the fact that they were selling glass pipes and that's it? There's nothing else there, like
that I know of.
Okay, because I just want to make sure there is no.
I could have dug
there
around.
There are no
and
drug charges that
specific...
are somehow involved in any of this. There's no drugs found anywhere. I just want to be sure that we don't go off half-cocked here.
Yeah, there was no. I mean, like I said, I don't know what every specific charge was and the actual name of it, but no drugs were found.
So this all has to do with the fact that they're selling glass pipes.
Yeah, it's basically they were selling glass pipes. Like I said, if you live in Norman, that's kind of a no-no. People don't like that here. It needs to kick
Which
rocks.
I don't know that it's people don't like that here. I think it's
certain
a handful of people don't.
Certain people don't like that here.
I don't think most people would give a fuck, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I know people that are big on, I don't think we should legalize marijuana, who are also kind of like, I don't care if people sell glass. It's glass pipes.
Yeah.
How are you going to make glass pipes illegal? Just on the face of it, it just seems unreasonable. Yeah. Like, you can fashion glass in this world, but if you fashion it into the shape of a pipe, you're a criminal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, that's actually kind of interesting because they seize, we're kind of doing civil forfeiture. They seize all the money and stuff, and I guess they drop they drop the forfeiture charges against this money, but they're still holding the money for evidence. So it's like you still don't get your money, I guess. I think that was kind of like what's happened recently because they had some of the stuff dropped, but they're still continuing on with.
How much money are we talking about here? I heard something like it was
thousands of dollars.
I heard I could be totally wrong, but something I heard was like we're talking north of like $100,000.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That's something I had heard that like there's a lot of money that this business
and that's something
had
you talk about civil forfeiture cases. They always bring up a money thing. Sometimes they don't bring up the assets. Sometimes they just, like them seizing the glass pipes or say they take someone's car or truck or whatever, that doesn't count towards money value. That's something else we're going to kind of get into. And I think something else we should say before we continue on is like, we're not against cops. Like,
no, not at all.
Like, yeah, totally not at all. I mean, they've got a hard enough job as it is. Their budgets have been cut for years and years and years now. Well, and that could be its own episode about the policies on just that. What is messed up is the laws around this stuff. Then.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, you probably have. I mean, I don't know how these cops that did these raids feel, but I mean, I would assume some of them are kind of like, orders are orders at some point. You know what I mean? You get told, hey, you guys are doing this. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if they feel like it's unjust or unfair. They're supposed to do their job.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that these guys are. It's the people that are making the decisions to hound these types of businesses, who want to police for profit, who want to, who don't seem to have any compunction about ruining businesses.
Yeah. Or people's lives or anything like that.
For stuff that's obviously, well, first of all, legal. Mm-hmm. Second of all, harmless. I mean, it's
and that's kind of why I wanted to turn this into like a civil forfeiture episode because I would love to sit there and debate about just what they were doing, the glass pipes. It's actually perfectly legal, and delve into that. But the problem with civil forfeiture, and this is nothing new, it's just the fact that they can go in there and they can take your money, and not just in that the Friendly Market situation or Stephen Holman's, but just like you're driving down the road, you get pulled over, and you've got $500 on you. Cop could pull you over, like, hey, where you headed, son? Like, well, I'm going to I don't know, California. I'm on a road trip. California, they sell weed there, medicinal weed that you can get pot from there. I think this money you've got is going to be used for that. Now it's mine.
I mean, they can really just do that?
Yeah, it's happened. That's actually like I-40 is actually one of the worst places in the nation because it's a, main
thoroughfare from coast to coast.
Yeah, from coast to coast. And I think one of the worst places is Canadian County, which is where Yukon is. And that's actually, it was a really good, I found so many things just like looking up this civil forfeiture stuff just for the state, much less across the country. Because it's nothing that just Oklahoma is doing.
No, there's a lot of bad.
It's all over
I think
the
it's
place.
most of the country is really bad about this.
And they go and, different states have different laws as far as like
I just saw
how it can be done, what can police do with the money that is seized or assets, what they can do with it afterwards, where it goes, how they spend it, yada, yada, yada. Oklahoma, it's like they can keep 100% of it and do whatever they want with it. So that's kind of the problem is like you have this incentive for, and this kind of plays into like, cops would never say, they're like, oh, we need this money. And they do need money to fight drugs and things like that. But you have this incentive to be like, hey, we need more money. Well, we can just go get it.
Well, I just think the notion that you're supposed to be taxpayer funded, not taxpayer pressed.
Yeah.
To fund your department. It's so if you have a shortfall in money, it's up to the city that or the county or whatever that you're policing to decide whether or not they actually want to fix that. Giving them the ability to seize people's assets, I think, is in general. I don't care. I even say if you're a fucking criminal, I'm like if you're whatever, if you got an open container, whatever, and they pull you over and they're like, cool, now your truck is ours and we're going to make money on it. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah,
because
that's the problem.
You committed a crime.
You don't even have to be charged. Yeah. Like that's so many studies they found, like, out of like so much money that was captured just on I-40, it was like only, less than half were even charged with the crime, and then however, even the people that were charged, were they actually guilty of anything? And
sure.
So that's a lesser amount.
But and that's what I'm saying, even if you are guilty, it's you being guilty opens you up to what sort of, I thought the punishment for the crime, they've already determined. The punishment is, if you have an open container, you're subject to arrest, possibly, to a fine, and if they have to, they have to get your car off the roadway, that's understandable, so you may be subject to impound fees and stuff like that, and that should be it. You go to court at some point, a judge determines if, what sort of, time in jail you need to spend, if any, and that's it. Your assets all of a sudden now becoming like, for crimes that have nothing to do with your assets.
Well, and not even just that, like, the cop can now just determine, I think this is what's going on, whether it is or not, I take all your shit. Yeah. That's it. Period. Yeah. Like one of the stories I found was like, I think it was like a Vietnamese or Chinese couple from like, I think it was like Michigan or Wisconsin, and they had a shitload of money with them, but they were basically traveling to California because there was some kind of family wedding going on, and it's a different culture, and they were basically, from what I gathered, like they kind of had a dowry basically.
Sure.
And this guy in Yukon pulls them over and is like, totally doesn't get what's going on. He's like, there's inconsistencies in the story here, and I'm like, yeah, they're fucking Chinese, man. Like, they don't know, like, just because they said one thing or
they have customs that we're unfamiliar with.
That's basically what it was. Like, he was trying to be like, well, if you were doing this or that, why haven't you gotten married? Like, it's a completely different world, man. Like, they've got their own thing they're doing.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, I think this is for drugs. And he seized $25,000.
And I bet they never fucking got that money back.
And, well, they ended up, like, litigating. and they ended up cutting a deal and finally got half of it back.
Half of it back?
Yeah.
Jesus.
What's crazy about that is the officer that pulled them over is like, I don't know how long it happened after the actual incident, but 3 days after the local prosecutors filed a civil forfeiture case to, claim the money, 3 days after, he's in front of like a city council meeting or something saying, hey, we've got plenty of money for, this vest and stuff. Cause like, yeah, he just taken a shitload of money. So that's what's kind of concerns me is like, do you even know you're going to, in the long run, going to get to keep that? Apparently he didn't give a fuck because he's like, well, cool, we got it.
Sure.
We need this shit.
Well, and you're also incentivizing to fund things. You're incentivizing these guys to do shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
When they shouldn't even be empowered to do it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm sorry, no offense to any cops out there, but I think there is a limit to the amount of power that you should be able to wield on the roadways and out in public. If your assets are subject to forfeiture, I think it should be a judge determining that. It should be a judge and
that's the problem. You're not even getting charged. You're just like literally the cop thought you got long hair and you've got some money on you.
Yeah.
You might be going to buy drugs somewhere.
Yeah. Which
money's mine now.
Yeah, which is just ridiculous.
Thanks.
Yeah, no,
that was actually like a lot of the majority of the money that is seized. A lot of it you think of it's like, oh, it's these huge sums of money, and it's thousands of dollars, and maybe it is going to drugs because that's who travels around with 30,000 in cash on. I mean, honestly, all the time.
Yeah, not many people.
Well, a lot of the money seized is actually the median was like $800, so more than half of it was like people had a few $100 on them, and.
Yeah, I mean, not that I've ever had occasion to travel
snatched.
with $800 on me, but I've done it before.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've gotten paid for a job working up in state, and I'm like, I got 1,000 in cash, and I had to drive home.
Yeah, or
if I'd gotten pulled over,
I'm going to buy,
and they searched me.
Yeah,
they could take that money just cause.
Yeah,
and they go, you know what? I think that's a lot of money, and something seems a little odd here.
I mean,
I better take that. Thank you very much.
I've traveled with.
You'll never see it again.
I've traveled with over 1,000 in cash before. Go to the bank, make a withdrawal to go buy a computer.
Yeah,
because you're just going to pay cash for it and be done with it.
And that's my point. If you get pulled over and a cop starts questioning and it's a little suspicious to them,
they
whatever
just take
that means.
Money. Yeah,
whatever that means. It could be
sure. Yeah, which I just think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think also the fact that you have. I don't know. There just seems to be this extremely murky area that they get to operate in to determine these sorts of things, which I don't understand how any of this ever even becomes law or rule or anything.
I think just kind of digging around, it seems like it was kind of it's kind of not a loophole.
Yeah, I was about to say it sounds like an exploited loophole,
but it's kind of like they figured out a way to kind of get what they need and do what they want, and it is kind of legal. And they're like, cool, let's turn this up to 11. And that's actually New Mexico changed their shit completely because a video came out of like some kind of local attorney, and he's holding this seminar with local law enforcement, and he's coaching them on how to set up civil ordinance zones in certain places of towns and stuff, to then implement these practices. And he was like, man, we could be czars. It's like we could own the city. We could get in the real estate business.
I was going to say, it sounds like
that video came out, and guess what? Yeah, New Mexico was like, they had to fucking vote it out. They're like, it's kind of like some of these situations that pop up and like, well, fuck, there's a video of this guy like coaching people to like take people
and talking about being fucking lords and rulers.
Yeah, and dude, like holy shit!
Like you realize this is the United States,
there's
right?
There's none of that. None of that's happened here. So
well, yeah, and I think like I was gonna say, I think this. You get down into this stuff enough, and in my opinion, you start to. I mean, I understand if people were to. I hear this stuff and I start looking at cops and going like, are they public servants or soldiers of fortune?
Yeah, it's
because that's essentially what they can do is they can fund their, and God only knows what sort. I'm not, again, I don't even care because it's probably happening. I don't care. There's probably tons of impropriety going on with that money too. Once they do have it, like just cops just keeping it.
Like how am I to know? I don't know.
Seize 1,200, say you got 800.
Going back to that glass situation, selling glass situation with Stephen Holman. They spent an entire day in court when this finally got the court side of this shit finally rolling.
Yeah.
They spent an entire day in court going over the fact of like, well, what is a glass pipe for? Well, this guy comes in and he's with the city DA and he's called the Glass Guru. And I'm trying to remember his name. I had it pulled up here. Let's see. Rick Newell. And they have him testify, and then the defense has to, build their case saying like, hey, guess what? Anything can be used for smoking marijuana. Their whole case is the fact that I think this glass pipe is going to be used to smoke marijuana, which is illegal. What evidence do I have of that? It's just, I think that's what's going to happen. What else are you led to believe? That was basically his argument. Which
that's another problem of just.
And they go down that rabbit hole. Or like, well, what about the defense for these people? Are like, what about corncob pipes? Are they illegal?
Yeah. What about soda cans?
What about soda cans? That could be turned into a pipe. Should we make that illegal? What about a apple? All this thing, and that's where it boils down to like they just on themselves determined I don't like that. I'm going to do this, that, or the other as far as policy goes, and they did it. And that's what they're litigating.
Yeah, and it just, again, this is like, I hate this stuff. I hate anything where they just assume you're going to break the law and do something illegal, so we need to take action, because it's so just... It makes no sense whenever you have, okay, glass pipes we hate. These glass pipes are going to be used for this. Oh yeah, you can sell that hookah.
Yeah.
Go nuts.
Yeah, the hookah was fine.
I was like, wait, so nobody's going to smoke weed out of a hookah? Are you guys retarded?
Yeah.
Like, really? Are you guys
and I've seen people not, but it's like, why doesn't that argument then apply to that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't... And hey, you guys realize all these vape shops around here, you realize that all these vaporizers you can buy...
Yeah, sorry vaporizers.
I vape myself, and I'm just saying you realize that you can buy...
You can smoke pot with these things.
Yeah, you can smoke pot with these things. It's not like, nugs of fucking weed or anything, but it's
there's
liquid.
There's going to be a thing on KFOR. Oh my God, the new dangers of synthetic marijuana. They always have some bullshit like that for...
Which, I mean, again, I'm just saying... Okay, so marijuana is illegal. Whatever, agree or disagree with that. That's whatever. That's the rule.
That's its own argument.
Yeah, the rule is that it's illegal. Yeah. Great. So then they want to say, well, but now we want to outlaw anything that if you want to outlaw anything that could be used to smoke it with, I get that wouldn't. I still would say that's bullshit. But you're just going after glass pipes. Like, I don't understand what their hard on is for fucking glass pipes. Like, did somebody? I don't know, did somebody that makes glass pipes, like, at some point, like, I don't know, wrong a fucking senator or something? Did they, like, bang their daughter or something? Or, like, I don't understand, like, this unreasonable or just...
Well, it's kind of like with this DA
pipes.
here, this DA here in Norman. You could tell he doesn't like it. Maybe he made a call, I don't know, but, like, he has no problem with following through on charges for it. So... there it goes. You start going down that road, and a lot of these people have never. People I'm talking about, like other shops that have been shut down in Norman here. A lot of these people, they're just like fuck. They can't do anything about it, and they just, they fade into the wind.
Yeah, they force these people out of business.
That's not happening right now, and especially these other people have stepped in, and then like they're gonna have to. I'm glad it's happening because now they're gonna have to go through the court and prove it, man.
Yeah,
just prove your fucking case.
If as much as I think it's bullshit, just come out and say, if that's what they really think, like, stand on your, just say, we think glass pipes should be illegal.
Yeah.
And I never want to see a glass pipe for any other use in the world, dude.
Yeah.
Because they need to if these guys really think that, stand on your principle and say, I think glass pipes in general, just period, should be illegal. Yeah. Because you never know, somebody might smoke some marijuana out of it.
It all has to do with the Fifth Amendment, the civil forfeiture stuff. That's the Fifth Amendment is the one that's like, hey, you've got a right to due process, and that's the problem. The due process was, hey, I think this is bad, bam, and you never even get charged for shit.
Yeah,
we take this, that, and the other.
Or even if you do get charged and you get exonerated.
You're getting charged for what? I don't know.
Well, even if you get charged and exonerated. The fact that they were able to take your company's money, your operating income, and just they kill your business. You say, well, okay, I was exonerated. I'm free of any sort of prosecution now, but you guys killed my business.
Yeah.
You killed it by seizing all my money. And now, hell, I mean, like you're saying, the hell they may make a deal to give a half of it back. I ain't gonna fucking lie, I hope these happy market people sue the...
Friendly market.
What'd I say, the happy market?
Yeah.
The friendly market.
They're all happy and friendly.
Yeah. I wonder why. Anyway.
Had to go
just
there,
fucking
dude.
right, yeah. But no, I hope they sue the fuck out of this, of the city, the state, whoever, man.
They'll think twice about it next time.
Yeah, I mean, and not that I'm sitting here wanting like the state to, or the city to pay all kinds of money, because when they have to pay all that kind of money, I mean, the taxpayers are the ones that end up footing the bill. But stuff like this should be, our fucking leaders should know that this sort of shit will not be tolerated.
That's what's messed up with the civil forfeiture too. Since it's civil forfeiture, it's not criminal. So you're not, you have no right to an attorney. You have to like just pony up that yourself.
To
claim and get your money back. The burden of proof is not on
them
to prove like, hey, we actually need to have this money because it is tied to criminal activity, and this is why we need to have it as evidence or seize it or whatever. No, it is on you to prove that, hey, this wasn't anything wrong. It's actually my money. Can I please have it back? And like I said, since it's not criminal, there's no right to an attorney. You've got to go pony up the bill for that. That's all on you, man. Have fun. Good luck trying to get it back if you ever do. That was another really interesting case with the civil forfeiture. I'm trying to remember this guy's name. What was his name? Stephen Mills. He was chief of police in Apache, Oklahoma. He had his truck. I think they were doing some ranch work or something. Let a guy borrow his truck. He gets pulled over.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he gets pulled over. And, I think some other time, this guy he let borrow the truck, did something. I think he maybe stole something, some oil field equipment or something, and the cops knew it, and there might have been a warrant out for his arrest or something. Well, they arrest him, and they're like, oh, you're driving this truck? Well, this truck's ours now. And sees this police chief's truck just because this guy was driving it. And I guess, it could be tied to something. I don't know. Maybe. Well, better take it just to make sure. And they take this guy's truck, and the police chief is like trying to get his truck back. And they're like, do we need to look into you? What's going on here? What do you want your truck back for? It's like, it's my fucking truck.
Yeah, it's my, yeah.
It's like,
my truck didn't break the fucking law.
Yeah, I
dumbasses.
know. Like this guy did. Cool. Do what you need to do with him.
Yeah.
Can I have my truck back?
Yeah, can I have my fucking truck?
And
my Ford F-150 is not a pothead.
Yeah.
Can I have it back? Jesus.
And I think 6 months goes by, he still doesn't have his truck. And he finally tips off a reporter that works for a Chickasha newspaper, and they finally get some pressure on somebody, and he finally gets his fucking truck back. The chief of police. And he's like, you know what? I'm not for civil forfeiture. Fuck this.
Yeah, I don't blame him. And good on him that he got his truck back. But it's really scary to think that even somebody in a position of influence and power, like a chief of police, could have this thing leveled against him so badly, and there wouldn't even be any sort of a good old boy deal there to it's a police chief's car. We'll give that one back.
Yeah.
But, this other asshole who's not a police officer.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm saying it's right that it happened to him, but at least in that instance, I guess, they equally applied the bullshit.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess it's the only... I'm glad he got his truck back because, like we're saying here, this whole fucking notion is horse shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't...
It's just it's a weird incentive for law enforcement to overstep their boundaries. But it's so easy for them to just go, oh, well...
Well, and it's pretty obvious what they're doing,
what?
too.
I think that money...
They're just seizing things of high value because... Say you are somebody, you're transporting marijuana. You get pulled over, you have some in your car. I don't know, say you've got a couple of pounds, whatever. So they say, well, we're going to seize your car because it's a drug transport vehicle. Well, say you had a quarter pound in your fucking shorts. They're probably going to give you your shorts back. And my question is, well, why? I know why, because the shorts are probably worth $10.
Yeah.
The truck's worth thousands.
Yeah.
I understand that, and so that's where when you look at it, it just on the face of it becomes so obvious.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like I said, soldiers of fortune, dude. It's like mercenary
that's something
rules
that
out
they
there.
can do with some of the seized assets. They can then auction it off.
Exactly, and nobody's gonna buy fucking Johnny's shorts that he used to fucking carry a fucking quarter-pound of weed around in, but they might buy his fucking Silverado that he was driving at the time or whatever for a stupid low price compared to, or whatever. Or the cops just flip that shit and say, now we've got a fucking Silverado police vehicle or whatever. And
people have done that from here. They're like, this used to belong to a drug dealer.
Yeah, and I've
seen that,
okay,
painted on a truck. Like, get on you guys.
I guess, did it really? Did he? I mean, so he's in jail? Oh, well, no, it was like a minor pub, but he's a drug dealer. Minor charge, but yeah, his fucking truck's ours now. I just, just shit like that.
It was actually this police chief's.
Yeah. This fucking poor police
We stole
chief.
this from a police chief.
Yeah.
Now it's ours.
Yeah.
OSBI. Fuck you.
He's still making payments on it because the fucking bank wasn't like, oh well, we'll forgive the loan. Fuck no. So while the cops are driving it around or somebody else, he's still making payments on it. If I could talk about being upside down on your fucking loan.
It's just. Like I said, it's so easy for them to overstep their boundaries. Like something that kind of, it's not really civil forfeiture, but was just an interesting story and piece like that was done over law enforcement here locally. I think it was written by a guy named Clifton Adcock, and I think he was like one of the we got on Twitter and we had like a bunch of podcasts follow us and just kind of some random people in the game, and he was like actually the first person that followed us. So I'm like, hey, you're actually like from here, dude, like legit around here. And he wrote this piece, and I told you about this the other day, where it's about this the cell tower simulator.
Oh yeah,
type of thing where it's like, cops, maybe they're trying to hunt a person down, or they think this person's maybe going to a drug deal or involved in some activity or whatever, and they can turn this device on, and it acts like a cell tower, and it just collects everybody's data that picks up on this thing in the area. Not just the person they're after, but anybody that links up with this thing. And what are they going to do with that? I think they talked to some of the law enforcement in Oklahoma City, and they're just like, oh well, we got one, but it's still in the box.
Yeah, still in the fucking box.
We just put it on a shelf somewhere, and it's like, oh, that's neat and interesting.
Yeah,
they're doing something with it.
Yeah, because that's what they like. I told you, that's what these guys do when they get their hands on a fucking brand new toy. They just leave it in a fucking box.
Yeah, and it's like the civil forfeiture stuff. It's so easy to just go, hey, you know what? I think this.
Yeah.
Let me have it. And the burden of proof should be on them to like, hey, you need to prove that. Hey, these people are, shady. They could be involved in stuff, and this is how it's linked to criminal activity.
Yeah.
But it's not on there.
Dude, that device, like, okay, so here's my question. Okay. You have a device like this, some really high-tech device, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's thousands of dollars.
Yeah, a couple of questions arise, in my opinion. One, how fucking dumb do they think we all are if they just want to tell us, oh, it's still in the box?
Yeah.
What's in the fucking box? Yeah, it's... Anyway, no, but we still got it in the box. So my question is, so why? I mean, is it worth more if it's factory sealed? Like, I mean, is this like a fucking...
Is it a toy?
Is this like a Star Wars action figure or something? Yeah. Like, no, you guys have it out of the box, so stop acting like, we're fucking stupid. Yeah. You're using it. So cool. It costs how much money? So maybe that's why you need to do some civil forfeiture to like fund these sort of fucking things, because maybe you shouldn't even have these fucking things to begin with.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't need all the fucking shit that you guys are getting your hands on anymore. Like, fucking APCs and fucking
tanks.
Yeah, I mean, I
literally tanks. I mean,
yeah, and so I mean, for whenever they tell us like, oh, we're underfunded, we need more money, and it's like, well, you guys do have a small army, so we went from funding a police department to funding like, you could take over, pretty much any third world country with this arsenal you've got here. Yeah. And you can snoop on whoever the fuck you want with this, like, I don't know, Orwellian fucking device you've got and you're fucking, in the box.
Yeah, in the box.
In the box. Because you're just waiting for a real reason to open it, I guess, because you didn't have a real reason to quote-unquote want it in the first place.
Yeah.
It just was given to you, so you said, well, I guess we'll stow it away until we actually need it.
Mm-hmm.
No, you guys fucking wanted it. You guys went out and fucking got it. and now you want us to believe that you're not fucking using it.
Yeah, it was that
which
whole,
is even dumber than why'd you spend the fucking money on it if you're not using
that
it?
whole piece was alone. Like I'm like, oh my god, that's a whole episode on its own. Just like I mean, so if y'all want to check it out, I think Clifton he works for Oklahoma Watch, and that's the who he wrote for the piece. So check that out. I'll probably post it up. It was I'm like, it was an insane read. Just like
I can imagine.
Like, wow, really? You know, and some people had used it. Some people are like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
fucking Patriot Act is alive and well.
Yeah, no shit. But
that shit's even legal to do in the first place.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Like, because I guarantee you, if they're fucking sitting, somewhere listening to my, the guy lives across the street, listening to, to him because that's the reason they're using it, because this guy may be doing something. And they happen to hear me say something over the phone they don't like, well, they're not going to fucking ignore me.
Yeah.
They're probably going to act on it in some form or fashion, which begs the fucking question, should they ever been able to fucking hear me in the first place? Mm-hmm. Don't they need a fucking warrant for that?
Yeah.
And unless now they're issuing warrants for fucking city blocks, I want to say I doubt it, but fuck, I don't know.
It's just an overstep, man. Like, we've talked about just kind of crazy police procedures, and like like you were talking about like how they raid homes and things, and that was something that was another civil forfeiture case here in Oklahoma. They raided these people's houses, this house. They seized this couple's money, guns, what they say was illegal drugs, and throw these people in jail. They're in jail for 3 days, and come to find out they raided the wrong house. Do they get any of their stuff back?
Oh, probably not all of it, if anything.
No, they don't. They have to fight to get it back because it's a civil forfeiture.
Yeah.
And then I think they got some of it back, but they took a boat. They seized a boat that they had just because it's there, and I guess it's damaged. But they just weren't even in the right house in the first place. Came in, raided their shit. Took everything they owned.
I just don't understand.
Whoops.
Sorry. For the greater good, right?
And there's actually a state senator here that's trying to change the law as far as like the civil forfeiture
for the better.
Yeah, for the better.
Okay, cool.
And you say cool, but it's one of those like, no one. Law enforcement, man, they just started attacking this guy, man. Like, oh, you're just inviting the cartels, every big drug person and crime syndicate to come to Oklahoma here because now they know it's fair game. And I mean, just some of the arguments they put up. This was the best kind of argument that the senator gave for like doing this is like. They'll stop a car leaving like a place like Oklahoma City. They'll stop a car after they knew he did a drug deal and he's got all that money on them. And they stop him and they seize that money. Like, yeah, it's connected to drug activity. Got him.
Yep.
He's like, if they knew that in the first place, why didn't they pull him over before he went and sold the drugs to get on the streets of my city?
Yeah.
Because guess what? There's no money there.
Yeah, there's no
money on that
unless they're going to start selling it.
Yeah, exactly. Which the fuck they might, for all I know.
God, only fucking knows.
Yeah.
And again, I think we have to keep giving
just using the same mentality that some of these cops goes. I think you might be. I'm just led to believe that you might be grabbing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and I think we got to give a disclaimer. We're really not bagging on cops.
No, we're not.
We're bagging on these.
They've got a hard fucking job.
Yeah,
no,
it's a job I would not want to do. I don't envy cops. I've met great cops and I've met cops that were kind of shitheads, but that's just like anything. There's good and bad people in all walks of life. But I just think it's some of these practices that they're allowed to do that's what's really irked us.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to say before we get too far away from it. These, pipe shops or whatever, like the Friendly Market and all that. I've always thought it was stupid because I've been in them before. Mm-hmm. I've been in shops like that before. Not fucking often, but I've been in them.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've always understood is like you can't say the word bong. If you say the word bong, like you're going to get kicked out because it's either illegal or they just know that if
it's now directly related to marijuana, which is illegal. Oh my God.
Yeah, if you do say it and somebody hears you that is a cop or something, they're going to wig out. And I always likened it to, I think stuff like that's so dumb because I've always likened it to Pee-wee's Playhouse whenever the fucking secret word was said and like everybody just goes fucking berserk. I've always likened it to that and I've always wondered if I walked into a head shop and just said bong, is like the fucking counter gonna start fucking moving around and you know the fucking hookah display gonna start fucking screaming at me and stuff.
Cops are gonna jump out.
Cops
Get on the ground!
Yeah.
Get on the ground!
Yeah, fucking guys are gonna breach through the fucking front window on rappelling line and shit. And I just always was like, this is so dumb. It's like I hate laws and rules where you don't get treated like an adult.
Yeah.
You're treated like a child. Like, you know, it's almost like liking it to the Mary Fallon whenever she wouldn't say earth. She didn't want to say earthquake. I'm like, are these really bad words? Like, are these words that, like, do they...
Like, it happened.
Yeah, like, you know I mean, it
okay.
is, you know, this can be referred to as a bong. I mean, it looks like a bong to me. I mean, now, am I saying that it's going to be used to smoke weed? No, it could be used to smoke tobacco. It could be used to smoke whatever. I don't fucking know. I don't care.
Yeah.
But... that's the whole point is, I don't know, I just hate these rules and laws and stuff where you can't say certain words, and I don't know, man. Just stuff like that, I'm just, stop treating us like kids. Like,
it's kind of like these arguments against civil forfeiture. It's like, really? Like, all of a sudden, you know, El Chapo or fucking Pablo Escobar is coming back to Oklahoma. Like, hey guys, they changed the civil forfeiture laws. Guess what? Let's set up shop. And that's something that's kind of interesting with this guy's.
The mere
bill.
fact that these guys are having to use, they claim, civil forfeiture to fund their departments is indicative of a possible bigger problem that these guys are underfunded.
Yeah.
Which I think maybe if you look at it, I don't know that it's that they're underfunded. I think it's just that they want more funds.
Yeah.
And we've given them somehow, for whatever reason, we've given them carte blanche to go get more funds.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you get this much from the taxpayer.
And you know, they figured out a way to do it. I wouldn't expect them to not do that.
Well,
that's what they're.
Well, I mean, I kind of would because
they've gotten it cleared legally, so they're like, cool. And I'm sure some people are like, yeah, we need to do that. And you know, like when it actually is tied to criminal activity and they do seize it, thumbs up, man. Good, you know, that's great.
Sure, but here's my question:
then you apply it to just these innocent people that are just.
Well, yeah, that's who it's mostly going to hit.
Yeah,
because there's not there.
That's actually their argument against this bill. That I think his name's Kyle Lovelace, the state senator that's trying to change the laws. They're like, these horror stories that you're mentioning. These are just like the one or two. You know,
yeah, it's like
out of all these
the couple of big whales
amounts,
that come through the state every once in a while that you guys are talking about. And, you know, meanwhile, the whole rest of the year, you guys are just preying on the minnows.
I believe somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody was quoted as saying, like, you know, he likened it to, like, surgeries, medical surgeries. There's one or five bad surgeries a year in the country.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I think there's more than that.
Maybe more than that. But.
Yeah. He's like, but there's millions of good ones.
Yeah.
And that's how he used his argument to be like, hey, civil forfeiture's fine.
Yeah.
There's that one or two bad story out there, but that's not the numbers don't ever support that.
See, I just don't know why it doesn't make sense to me that, like, if at least in this state, if you get pulled over and unless they have, like, you know, there are certain things that have to be, you know, that have to qualify for probable cause. This is my understanding, for them to search your vehicle.
Yeah.
If they want to search your vehicle otherwise, they have to ask for your permission and you can say no.
Yeah.
And if they want to search your vehicle, they have to get a warrant. So some judge has to be woken up or whatever, or bothered or whatever, with deciding whether or not they want to issue a warrant for them to search your car.
Yeah.
So my question is, why wouldn't there have to be some sort of judge involved in whether or not they're going to seize all your fucking assets? Why is that just up to the cop? Because when you just leave it up to the cop, like you were saying, they found a legal loophole and they're exploiting it. The reason I still think it's extremely fucked up is because it doesn't matter if it's quote-unquote legal to me. It matters, and these guys, the ones that we trust to do the right thing all the time, it should be, well, whatever, if it's legal or not, is it right?
Yeah.
We just don't, it's just not right. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to do it. Because, hell, it's up to cops whether or not they want to cite you for things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we want to get technical, I mean, it should be...
Well, just like with the searching of the car, like, yeah, you say no, they should get a warrant. But does that stop them right there in the middle of that traffic situation?
Not necessarily.
No, because this is the defense they also use for civil forfeiture just as a whole. They're like, hey, there is something that is protecting these one or two horror stories. It's called the Constitution, and the fact that you have to have probable cause.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, man. Probable cause can be you going, I think I smelled something, or your story's weird. I need to search your vehicle now, and I have every carte blanche to do so.
Yeah, but again, that's, in my opinion, that's them being ethically wrong.
Yeah.
By doing
but they
that.
Don't think so, is my point.
By fabricating probable cause.
Yeah.
Like not smelling anything and saying, oh, well, I think I might have smelled something. Even though they know they didn't fucking smell anything.
Yeah.
But they're going to say that because they really want to search your car for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
have
a feeling because they...
Up, is my point.
Yeah, or because they're like, I just have a feeling this person's probably going to have something that we can see some of their shit for.
Yeah.
Maybe his car.
That's kind of why they do some traffic stops anyway. You know how many times I've gotten pulled over for my tag light's out?
Yeah.
And guess what? My tag light's not out. Just saying.
Yeah, and again,
they don't do that.
It really sounds like it's just, at least it's in my head, it sounds like we're really bagging on cops here, and we're fucking not.
Yeah.
I just
we're
think...
bagging on people that overstep their fucking boundaries, man.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
And hey, for
from
all
a cop doing that type of shit to like that lawyer who's like, hey, I'm gonna give a civics lesson on how to steal people's money.
Well, yeah, and hey, for all the grief somebody might give us that they think we're being anti-cops here, first of all we can say is we're not. But secondly, let's not forget that as the public, we trust these guys we trust them with a ton of power.
Yeah.
We trust them with our safety.
Yeah.
We trust them with a lot of things. So for there to be some sort of oversight on them, I think is obvious. Why not a regular Joe like the two of us be any sort of oversight to say what we think about it and wonder about things? It's our fucking right to do it. So, as much as we're sitting here saying like we're not being anti-cop, I'm saying, hey, I don't think cops have any sort of, cops are not beyond reproach.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they are cops, in my opinion, they are more, I think, should be more accessible to any sort of public inquiry.
Yeah.
Whether it's me or you or some public forum or a fucking lawmaker or a councilman, the fact that they are given so much power, in my opinion, part of that deal is you have to be pretty fucking transparent.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because the bill that Senator Lovelace was trying to put forward to change some of the laws, that's what some of the changes would be. It would be, you had to have a conviction. Mm-hmm. And before you could seize the money. You also say you seize that money, it would then not just go directly to wherever you had it locally. Mm-hmm. It would then go into a fund that the state was running.
Yeah.
And they had some kind of panel that could oversee it, and they could get the money back.
Sure.
But that's the whole problem. Is like, they would have to go to a fund, and it would be there'd be like a board that would oversee how it's divvied out, I guess.
Yeah.
And it also would be publicly available for anyone to.
Yeah. What was done with this stuff that was seized.
Done with this stuff? Yeah. And they fucking hate. Like law enforcement here fucking hated that.
And that's the question. Why?
No.
Why do they?
And I guess this guy's bill, he proposed it, I think, last May. So we're almost a year on this stuff, and it actually went to the Judiciary Committee or whatever in the state legislature, and it just goes nowhere. And supposedly it's because I guess the head of the committee, whatever, I can't remember, I don't know his name, but he wants to run for attorney general this next election cycle, so he needs the law enforcement on his side.
Yeah,
because he wants to run for attorney general.
Fucking politics.
So fuck this bill.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you, this great bill that's going to wants to change this stuff. You think it's going anywhere?
Probably not.
Fuck no.
Well, and that's. I mean, I feel. I know that, the worst thing I guess that could happen to me is I could get, I don't know, my car seized or something. I don't fucking carry around tons of money with me. I don't run a business. So, I'm not exposed. My exposure to this sort of stuff is minimal. Yeah. Not to say that it couldn't happen to me. I'm not going to act like that. Yeah,
that's what's crazy. It could, but
I feel really bad for, these friendly market guys. I feel bad for the fact that they're doing something that's entirely legal, selling glass pipes, and they're being treated like fucking criminals because of it. And I mean,
Guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, it just has to forget the loss. I mean, I don't say don't forget it, but I'm saying set it aside. The loss in money, the loss in product, all that. Set all that aside, and just the fact that you've been raided twice in the last, 6 months or whatever. How does that look to the other businesses around you, to the public around you? They gotta wonder if they don't look into these things like, God, what the fuck are they doing in there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your image is impacted from people that don't, and not that anybody's obligated to go look into this and find out what exactly happened here. It's just if you were, a business that's connected to, because I think the Friendly Market's part of like kind of a strip mall sort of
outlet
thing or whatever. Yeah. So I mean, there's other businesses there. I'm curious to know if whoever owns their lease is kind of like, you guys, man, I'm sorry, but
yeah,
I don't know what the deal is there. I'm just curious if there is somebody else who owns the lease or owns the property is saying like, I don't know if I want you guys to renew your fucking lease. That's actually a great
setup for something else I found. Sooner Poll does polls here in the state for certain things like 70% of just Oklahomans are totally for civil forfeiture reform. I think a poll of the businesses here, 93%. And I was like, yeah, I could totally understand why, because just like that police chief, say someone walked into your business and that you've got a worker running the cash register, maybe he's done something wrong. You don't know.
Yeah.
And say some other criminal or somebody just comes up and starts talking to him, and the police end up having to catch him there. It was like, well, he's here and he's working. Are you involved? Well, guess what? Just seize all this shit.
Yeah.
Just get the cash register that he might have been using it for.
Yeah, say you're like some,
Yeah, I can totally see why the businesses were like, fuck that.
Yeah, say like you're some local restaurant and some guy that you have working there is like, maybe they are dealing drugs out of the place.
Yeah.
And the cops, get wind of it and do what they should and attempt to stop it.
Yeah.
And the
you don't
process
know about
of doing it.
You're running the business.
They're like, well, he was doing it in your business, so now we're gonna fucking cornhole your business, so taking everything.
Yeah.
And now, well, I guess you just fucking figured out.
That's debatable. Like, maybe the place should be shut down because.
Well, maybe, but that's.
But it's like, should you just go through and, like I said, well, there's the cash registers, just start emptying it. Like, give me that. Like, damn.
And what was I heard something about. What was it? Was it the Friendly Market? I don't know if it was something where the cops were like turning off the cameras inside the place or something.
I didn't hear anything about that. No.
I heard. Oh man, God, what was it that I heard? It was like, I think it might have been the Friendly Market where there was. I'll have to look it up. I don't want to go off and start talking about. I will look, but it's. I remember hearing about it and I was like, what? You've got to be kidding me. But it was something. I can't remember. Anyway, so go on with whatever.
Well, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, like I said, I wanted to kind of take some notes because there's all sorts of crazy numbers and like how little out of like the people that were seized from and like even the money amount, how little of it was actually there were even charges brought up on these people, much less if they were convicted in the end of anything. They weren't even charged. Like I said, you could just be a guy driving down the road. And they just think something of you, and that's the case. But that's pretty much all I had to say, as far as the greater topic of civil asset forfeiture. I mean, and there's all sorts of things that could happen. I mean, it happens federally. Maybe something federally changes, and that changes with the state law.
Yeah, I guess this Holman guy said that.
I doubt it.
He's questioned the police's use of civil forfeiture funds in the past.
Yeah.
And so he thinks this is all kind of politically motivated.
Yeah.
And to use the funds to purchase such things as a Bearcat armored vehicle.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Which I really wish I could find this thing that I had heard about. And I'm desperately seeking reading this story here, trying to I can't find it. But I had heard something to the effect of like the oh no, it was no, it wasn't the Friendly Market. It was I think it was like oh yeah, it was like a place somewhere in California or Colorado or something where they were doing like a raid, and it was like a pot shop where you could buy, weed and stuff like that.
In Colorado, I guess.
Yeah, okay. It was somewhere where it's legal.
Yeah.
Okay. And it might have been Washington State too, or something like that. But they, the cops, when they came in, they turned all the cameras away or blocked them.
Yeah.
But there was one that they didn't see or something, and the cops were eating like brownies and shit, but weed brownies, space cake and shit like that. They were fucking grubbing out on it. And I don't know what's come of that, but I remember hearing that, and I think it was because when I heard that, I thought of the civil forfeiture stuff, and I was like, no, I'm not saying the Norman cops did anything like that.
Yeah, they forfeited it all right.
But I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Can't get that brownie back.
But anyway, yeah, that was,
that's a good point, talking about, not wanting to sound like you're just dogging on cops.
And
people are cops.
Yeah.
And people can do some shady shit.
Well, and hey, and guess what? Like you just said, you fucking specifically pointed out, even the cops can fall on the bad side of this.
Yeah.
The chief of police, where was it? Down in
Apache.
Yeah. Fell on the wrong side of this. And I'm pretty sure, like you said now, that guy's probably, if you ask him about civil forfeiture, he's probably like, yeah, fuck no.
Oh, yeah, he's totally against it now. Yeah,
I'm assuming
there needs to be reform.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's because I'm assuming he's still the chief of police.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a practice his department doesn't do. Yeah, so it's I just don't understand why on the face of any of it, like, I can understand if you're doing some white collar crime where your actual money, your assets are being used to, what's the word, defraud people and stuff like that, or using it to purchase illegal or legal substances or contraband or whatever, deal in stolen merchandise and stuff like that. I can understand your monetary, your money being seized. I can understand that. But if you get gigged with breaking a law, and just by virtue of that, we're going to take all your money now, that makes no fucking sense. It's not, your money is not tied up in it. You might have used some of your money to do something illegal, but by and large, your money is not tied up in criminal enterprise.
Yeah.
If you're a criminal whose money...
So you say.
Yeah, so you say, yeah.
So you say.
Well, we're going to need you to prove that, and to prove that, we're going to need you to fucking get your own attorney, and yada, yada, yada. Due process is going to get severely curtailed in your efforts to do that, but I don't know, it just...
Basically, we'll probably be coming back to this, especially with the whole Stephen Holman and
I would love
market.
to get an interview with him at some point. I understand that he can't right now.
Yeah, and just the fact that it's kind of an ongoing thing anyway, so there's going to be more to talk about from that side of it, and just that specific thing.
Yeah.
The civil forfeiture stuff, it's sadly probably going to be ongoing for a while because nothing about it's going to happen here.
Well, yeah, nothing's changing. The bill, like you said, the bill to do anything about it's basically dead in the water right now.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah. Well, is that...
That's it. That's all.
All right.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, if you guys have any comments or, critiques about this particular episode or any of our episodes, our contact details are as follows: ufppodcast@gmail.com, @UFPpodcast on Twitter, and Unidentified Flying Podcast on Facebook. So until next time, this has been Drew, and
this is Brad,
and you've been listening to the Unidentified Flying Podcast. Light years ahead of the curve.